In this video, I will show you how to write equations of lines. For the most part, I'm going to refer over and over again to the model y equals mx plus b, where the m is the slope of the line and the b is the y-intercept. So for problem number 1, it's going to be very straightforward. Whenever we are trying to write the equation of a line, basically we're just going to be finding the slope, and we'll put it here, and then we're going to find the y-intercept, and we're going to put it here. All right? In other words, we're just filling in the m and the b. However, they gave us both of these things. So the slope is 2/3, so the 2/3 just goes right in here. And the y-intercept is the point 0, 6, so that means the b value is 6. So in other words, the equation will be y equals 2/3 x plus 6. All right, they won't all be that easy. Write the equation of a vertical line that passes through this point. So we have memorized that vertical lines always have the equations of x equals something. So it's just a matter of x equals what? And this is the x value right here. Obviously, the other one is the y value. But since we have x equals, we will use the x value, and the answer will be x equals 5. On the other hand, if I want a horizontal line, horizontal lines always have the equation y equals something. And guess what? Here is the y value right here. So y equals 7 would be the answer to number 3. Okay, write the equation of the line that has an undefined slope and passes through this point. Well, undefined slope means that it's vertical. All right, so we just need to make that translation. All right, vertical lines have undefined slope. That means it's going to be x equals something. And again, the x value is right here, so it will be x equals -5. All right. Now, write the equation of the line that's graphed here. So again, we are doing this. Y is equal to something x plus something, where we will need the slope right here, and we will need the y-intercept right here. Okay, so how about the slope? Let's pick a couple of points that are on the line. You know what, I might zoom way in for this. So here are 2 points that are on the line. Boom and boom. As I travel from one point to another, vertically and horizontally, my path will be like this. Okay, so here I'm going down 1 and over to the right by 3. Now, you might have learned a long time ago that slope is rise over run. So in this case, the slope is going to be 1/3, all right? Rise over run, it's vertical and horizontal. Except for one thing, really this is a -1 because we're going down 1. So that's going to make this a -1/3. Or another way to look at it is, as we travel from left to right, we are going downhill. And a downhill slope is a negative slope. All right, so at a glance, we know it should be negative. So -1/3. All right, so now we have the slope. So the slope is -1/3. So that will go right here. What about the y-intercept? Zooming back in for a second, the y-intercept is the point where the line touches the y-axis. So the line touches the y-axis right here. That is at positive 1. So the y-intercept is going to be positive 1. So the final answer to this problem should be y equals negative 1/3 x plus 1. Okay, so that's it for number 5. All right, number 6. Write the equation of the line graphed here. Well, this line is horizontal. And we have memorized that horizontal lines have the equation y equals something. And this is a horizontal line at 4, so this is y equals 4. Okay, moving on to number 7. All right, so now it starts to get a little bit more complicated. So I am going to actually employ a graphic organizer like this. All right, anytime that I can't just answer the question at a glance, I'm going to use this graphic organizer. All right, in order to find the equation, which is what we're looking for, there are always two things we need to find. We need the slope and we need the y-intercept. All right, so we have to start by finding the slope. When we are given 2 points and we want to find the slope, we're going to use this formula. The slope is always going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y minus y over x minus x. All right, so the slope in this case is going to be, so we have y minus y. So that's going to be 11 minus negative 5. All right, so that's 11 minus negative 5. Be careful. You see the double negative here? It's not just 11 minus 5. If this had been a positive 5, then it would be 11 minus 5. But it is not. It's a negative 5. So it's 11 minus negative 5. We've got a double negative here. When you subtract a negative number, you add. So this is really going to end up being 11 plus 5. Okay, but it's because of the minus a negative you add. Now we have to do x minus x. So that's going to be 3 minus 9. So that's going to give me 16 over negative 6. And let's go ahead and reduce that down a little bit. So that's going to be negative 8 over 3. So that is my slope. Now remember, when I do these equations, it's always going to be y equals something x plus something. The slope and the y-intercept. Well, we just found the slope, so we might as well go ahead and substitute that in. So we have negative 8 over 3. That's going to go right there in the first box. Come to think of it, I probably need a slightly bigger box. Okay, now we need to find the y-intercept. So we find the y-intercept by thinking about y equals mx plus b, and we need to fill in the m, all right, which is right here. But we also need a y and an x. Well, guess what? We have 2 x's and 2 y's. I'm going to use the second point. It doesn't really matter which one you do. I'm going to use the first point. So the x value is right here. It's 9. The y value is right here. It's negative 5. So I'm going to plug all of those things in. So the y is negative 5. So I'm going to go negative 5 equals. Next comes the m. That's negative 8 over 3. All right. Next comes the x. That's 9. And then we just have plus b, and the b value is what we are trying to find. So I have negative 5 equals. Now, I can do this in my head because 3 goes into 9 3 times. So this is a 3, and then 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. So I know that the answer is going to be negative 24. But if you are like, what are you talking about? Use your calculator. So, you know, we've got the calculator, might as well take advantage of it. So negative 8 over 3 would be like this, negative 8 over 3. Okay, and then that is times 9. So we can go ahead and just do this. So that's going to give me negative 24, like I just said. So this is going to be negative 24 plus b. And now it's time to add 24 to both sides. But that's going to give us 19. So I have 19 is equal to b. So now I have m and I have b. So the 19 goes right here. So my final answer is y equals negative 8 over 3x plus 19. All right, how about number 8? I will use the same strategy. All right, I love to use my graphic organizer, and I highly recommend you do the same. So I'm going to have slope right here. Then I'll do my y-intercept. All right, and then we will write the equation. But you know, when I write the equation, I'm just trying to plug in the slope and the y-intercept. That's all. So first we need to find the slope, just like we did before. So again, we are using the little equation that the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So when I go to find the slope, I'm going to do y minus y. So that's going to be 5 minus 2. Okay, over x minus x. Notice that the second x is negative. So I'm gonna do negative 3, but I'm doing negative 3 minus negative 3. So that's really going to be negative 3 plus 3. Uh-oh. This is a special case, isn't it? I'm about to realize it because I'm getting 0. So I have 5 minus 2, that's 3. But that's 3 over 0. You can't divide by 0. This is undefined. Okay, so warning, this is undefined. That means we're not going to have like a y-intercept and all that stuff. So I'm going to skip this. I'm going to realize that this is a vertical line. Okay, when the slope is undefined, that means it is a vertical line. So I'm going to skip all of this and instead realize that the equation of a vertical line is always going to be x equals something. All right, just memorize that a vertical line is always going to be x equals. A horizontal line would be y equals. So x equals what? Well, look at both of these x values. They're both negative 3. So x equals negative 3. All right, so that's the answer to number 8. All right, let's take a look at number 9. All right, here comes my graphic organizer once again. Love it, loving it. All right, so I'm going to need the slope, and I'm going to need the y-intercept. And then I can write the equation. All right, so this is new. We're given a parallel line. So the key thing to remember is that whenever they give you a parallel line, parallel lines have the same slope. Same slope. Okay, so that's what I want you to think anytime you see parallel. I want you to think, oh, it's going to have the same slope. So this line, the slope is right here, -3/4. All right, the -9, the y-intercept, parallel lines don't have the same y-intercept. So just scribble this out. We are not going to use that -9 for anything. So this slope, because parallel lines have the same slope, then I'm just going to use that slope right here. So that tells me that the slope is going to be -3/4. So just indirectly, they gave me the slope. The rest of the process is the same as what we've been doing. All right, I'm going to use my whole y = mx + b deal. For a y value, I'm going to use -6. So I'm going to have -6 equals. M is the slope. We just had that. So that's -3/4. X is 12. So I'm going to have the 12 right here. And then plus b. I can do this in my head because 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times -3 is -9. I know this is going to be -9. But if you're not good at that, then use your calculator. -3/4 times 12, you can just do -3/4 and then times 12. And that's -9. So do what you got to do, people. So I have -6 is equal to -9 plus b. And then I will add 9 to both sides. And then that is going to give me 3. So now I have the slope and I have the y-intercept. So that's why my equation will be y = -3/4 x plus 3. All right, I simply substituted in the slope and the y-intercept here and here. All right, for number 10, it's going to be similar, but this time the key word is perpendicular. All right, when you have a perpendicular line, the slopes are opposite and reciprocal. Okay, slope is opposite and reciprocal. All right, so what do I mean by all of that? Okay, so let me get my graphic organizer going. So I'm going to need the slope right here, all right, which is going to be opposite and reciprocal. And I will do my y-intercept. And then finally, I will write the equation. Okay, now the slope of the line that they gave me is right here. All right, the y-intercept of this line is not relevant, so scribble it out. All right, perpendicular lines, the y-intercept is not relevant. But I'm going to use this in order to get the slope. Now, if the lines are parallel, the slope is the same. So on the previous problem, I had -3/4. I just wrote -3/4. That's what you do when it's parallel, same slope. Perpendicular lines do not have the same slope, so I'm not just going to copy this down. I have to go opposite and reciprocal with it. Opposite and reciprocal. Start with the word reciprocal. Reciprocal means that we're going to turn this upside down. So instead of 3 over 4, I'm going to have some kind of a 4 over 3. That's the reciprocal part. Now when I say opposite, I mean opposite in sign. If this is negative, then this will be positive. So our slope that we're going to use will be positive 4 over 3. It is opposite and reciprocal to the perpendicular line. The rest of the process is the same as what we've been doing this whole time. So I'm back to using my y equals mx plus b, where my y is negative 6, my m is 4 over 3, my x is 12, and plus b. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16. I know this is going to be 16. But if you're not good at that, use your calculator. 4 over 3 times 12. All right, 16. Do what you got to do. So I have negative 6 is equal to 16 plus b. Then I subtract 16 from both sides, and that is negative 22. Okay, and that is the b value. So if I substitute both of those values in here and here, that gives me y equals 4 over 3 x minus 22. All right, please don't put plus negative 22. Okay, just put minus 22. So this is the final answer. So again, if they give you a perpendicular line, take the slope, but make sure you change the sign and make it reciprocal. Turn it upside down. All right, what else do we have? Problem number 11. Write the equation of the line that goes through this point that is parallel to the graphed line. So remember, as soon as I see parallel, I'm thinking same slope. Same slope. So guess what? I'm going to do my graphic organizer like I've been doing this whole time. So I'm going to do slope, y-intercept, equation. All right, so what is the slope of the line that is graphed? Because I'm just going to keep the slope the same. So let me zoom in really closely so we can play around with the slope. Okay, we need to pick 2 points on the graph, like this one, and I guess any of these would be good. So notice as I travel from point to point, I'm going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So it's like rise over run, right? So hopefully you can see that the rise is 2 and the run is 1. Rise over run. So the slope, maybe I'll just keep it here for a second. So the slope of the line on the graph here, rise over run is 2 over 1. But 2 over 1 is just 2. So the slope of this line is 2. So that means m is 2 for the line that we're trying to write. Because parallel lines have the same slope. Now, the rest of the problem is the same as what we've done many times already. So we're using the idea of y equals mx plus b in order to find the b value. We're looking for the y-intercept. So for the y, I can put in negative 3. For the m, that's the slope that we took from the graph. For the x, that's going to be 4. And then we can find the b. So that's going to be -3 is equal to 8 plus b. Subtract 8 from both sides. So that's going to be -11. Okay, so now we have m and we have b. All right, so the idea of writing the equation is we take the slope and we put it here, and we take the y-intercept and we put it here. So the 2 goes here, and the -11 goes here. Don't put plus -11 though. Please just put y equals 2x minus 11, like that. Okay, so that is it for problem number 11. For number 12, we are going to find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this one and passing through this point. So perpendicular, we're talking opposite and reciprocal. Whoops. All right, that is the key. When you see perpendicular, you should be thinking, oh, the slope will be opposite and reciprocal. So when I do my usual graphic organizer, so I'm going to do slope, y-intercept, and then I will write the equation. All right, keeping in mind that I'm going to, when I write the equation, I'm going y equals something, x plus something. I'm just filling in these two boxes. You know what I mean. But we're going to start with the slope, but it's going to be the opposite and reciprocal to the line that's given because it's got to be perpendicular. So let me just zoom in on this line. Okay, so let's see what's going on. So here is a point on the line. Is this the same line they gave us before? I don't know. So here's another point. Here's another point. So as I travel from point to point, I am going up to right 1. Up to right 1. So that tells me that the slope, maybe I'm not going to put m yet. I'll just say that the slope is rise over run. That's 2 over 1. Positive 2 over 1. Okay, but we want the equation of a perpendicular line. So we're going to go opposite and reciprocal. So m is going to be the reciprocal of this noise. So instead of 2 over 1, it's going to be 1 over 2. And this is a positive slope, positive 2. So this is going to be -1/2. So that's the key, is that we have to go opposite and reciprocal whenever we're talking about a perpendicular line. All right, so the slope of the graphed line was 2, or 2 over 1. So the slope of our line will be -1 over 2, opposite and reciprocal. The rest of this is going to be normal. So to find the y-intercept, in our minds, we're thinking, okay, y equals mx plus b. The y is going to come from right here, so that's going to be -3. The m is the -1/2 that we just found. The x is going to come from this right here. And then plus b. -1/2 times 4 is -2. So I will have -3 is equal to -2 plus b. All right, you should definitely be able to do this in your head because half of 4 is 2. and then a negative times a positive is a negative. But your calculator's right there. If you need to type it in, go ahead. Plus 2 on both sides. So that will give us negative 1. So b is negative 1. So we have the slope and we have the y-intercept. So that means we will have our negative 1/2 right here, and our negative 1 will be here. So our final answer will be y equals negative 1/2 x minus 1. Please don't put plus negative 1, just put minus 1. All right, so that was it for number 12. Okay, time for number 13. Use the lines whose equations are given to answer the following questions. Okay, circle a line and explain your choice. No explanation equals no credit. All right, so the line y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5 is parallel to which line? Okay, so the slope is negative 2/3, and parallel lines have the same slope. So I'm just looking for another line that has the same slope. And that would be line B. I see the negative 2/3. So I'm going to say line B. So it is parallel to line B because it has the same slope. Okay, great. So far, so good. Now we have this line. It's perpendicular to which line? Okay, so the slope right here is negative 3/2. If it's going to be perpendicular, that means opposite and reciprocal slopes. So that should be positive 2/3. Okay, so I'm looking for a line that has a slope of positive 2/3. Okay, the only one that has that is line A. So I'm going to circle line A because, so I have to say something about opposite and reciprocal. So because the slope of line A is opposite and reciprocal. Okay, boom. Parallel lines, same slope. Perpendicular lines, opposite and reciprocal. That's the key. Okay, I can't wait to see what comes next. So, the line that goes through these 2 points is parallel to which line? Well, I need to take these 2 points and figure out what the slope is. So the slope is going to be y2 minus y1. So we're using the formula. I feel like I need to write this again. So the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's what I'm about to do. So that's going to be 4 minus 1 over 7 minus 9. So that means the slope is going to be 3 over negative 2. Okay, so parallel lines have the same slope. So that means I am looking for a line that has a slope of negative 3/2. Okay, because it has to be the same slope. All right, I'm just going to put parallel, same slope. Whoops, I put negative 3/3, didn't I? So which line has a slope of -3/2? That is going to be line D. All right, see that big old -3/2 in the front? So it's going to be parallel to line D because line D has the same slope. I'm just going to say it has the same slope.